Yes, this is episode number 2 in me and Harry Derbitsky's conversation of spirituality. And what do you say, Harry?
Well, maybe I could start before because I have a question for you as well. But maybe I could express to people in a simple term a new insight I've had about how the spiritual and the psychological end up at the same place. They're not the same reality, but they end up at the same place. And that place is oneness, of course, where the spiritual and the psychological are one. Or as we sometimes use the phrase, going inside or connected to God or hearing God from within, anything like that type of metaphor. So this is how I see it work from this insight. This is, you know how Cecilia Sid said, simpler the better? Well, it turns out that's correct. The simpler you see it, the easier it is to talk about it. And the reason when you see it in a very complicated manner that you sound good and better than other people, but because you're expressing it in such a complicated manner, they can't really get it. It's a business trick. If you can talk about something that you're doing that they don't understand, they'll pay you money. It works the same way in the Three Principles. But the problem is that the simpler the better you're grounded. You see, when you get into the mystical side of life, Cecilia, you don't want to lose yourself in it. Like the beautiful feelings, they're beautiful, but you want to be grounded in them. So you're doing whatever it is that's required to share. So here it is, the simple psychological spiritual reality in a few words, theoretically. This will be a first for me, Cecilia, a few words. Okay.
Yeah, that's wonderful.
yeah. So
I was thinking about something, Harry, that I wonder about. A lot of people here in Sweden, they are going and talking to that ladies that can talk about the future. How do you see in that they can see things that we other cannot? And
okay, well, it can be confusing because to deny that people have psychic gifts would be to deny what I teach, because I actually teach that we have mystical gifts inside of ourselves that we're all denying. You have mystical gifts that you have not opened up to. So we have portals that we have opened up to, and they could be looked at as levels of consciousness on one level. And when you open up a portal in the psychic realm, there are gifts that you have. So of course you have to make sure they're authentic, that what they're doing is authentic. But the reality is that there are people who have gifts who see into the future. But the reality of it is they see the pattern of who you are and what you're creating, or they see something that has already happened, or they connect in something in a way that doesn't make sense to us, but it makes sense to them. Just like when you mentioned to me that you love doing these shows, and one of the things you love doing in this show is reaching a certain space where you leave your personal behind, because we were talking about that. And when you leave your personal behind, that space is called love, or a higher level of consciousness, or mind, whatever you want to use it. And it's obviously an expression of thought. So we have the three principles there. But all that's happening in our life is we are defining our limitations. So when someone has tapped into a mystical or spiritual gift, a psychic gift, they have tapped into a higher level of it. It's almost like going into university and getting a master's degree in spirituality. They are not just talking about it, they are doing it, they are living in it. However, to follow that person would be a mistake. They may not, they may not be a good person. They may not have a happy life. They may just know this mystical trick that they have tapped into. And so you don't follow them, and you don't even necessarily follow their advice, but you recognize that that is a teaching to you that is showing you that there are things that the intellect does not grasp.
Can you explain a little bit more about why I don't should follow them?
Well, because here's a story. There was this guy who visited this guy in India, and he said, "Here, I'll show you what I know. See those kids on the street? At exactly 12 o'clock, they will stop and go home, or 11 o'clock, they will stop and go home." And at 11 o'clock, they did that. And so he said to the guy, "Will you follow me now?" And he says, "No, why should I follow you just because you know a little trick?" So if it resonates with you that it's true, then trust that feeling.
I think I was more thinking about that they tell things that happens that they should really not know, but they know and tell me. Like
you're doing that all the time. You're doing that all the time. You're talking about stuff, you catch a feeling, and you start expressing it, and the person says, "How did you know I was just thinking about that?" Or you're thinking about someone and they phone you.
Yeah.
You pick up on a vibration.
Yeah.
And the vibration has this stuff. I do it all the time.
Yeah, and I also hear that we always meet people, and you said it to me. You said it when we were meeting the first time in a Zoom call. It was meant to be.
Yeah, that's the same thing. See, all that happens is we all have it expressed in different ways. Some people, like in the native Indian people, which we know are very mystical people, when they dream, they see it as prayer, because they all dream. They all dream. I don't remember most of my dreams. It's part of their connection to God. And they go on vision quests, and they have, and so one time a native Indian shaman came up to me and says, "Harry, you've been here a long time. I know you can see the spirits all around the sweat lodge, which is a ceremony." And I said, "No, John, I don't, but I can feel them. You see, he sees them, but I feel them." Feeling them for me is good enough, but seeing them is for him. That's his way. And so when I go into the sweat lodge, they see all types of spirits, and also I sometimes see spirits. That's true, but nothing compared to their open portal that they have. So they made me aware that life is mystical. Life is mystical.
Yeah, it is. It's really mystical. And there's a lot of different people out there and sharing different spirituality.
That's right. And they may have a gift. One indigenous woman was a great healer and also a great drunk, the biggest drunk on in the community, in the reserve. But whenever someone needed healing, they'd go in with coffee, sober her up. She would then do the healing and then go back to the bar. So she was very spiritual, but she still had psychological problem. You see the difference? The difference is you have
You're still in your
you have not as much healing power as she has, but psychologically you're much more balanced.
Yeah.
And so you would say, well, it's a good trade. I don't want to be at the bar all the time and then heal people and have that feeling and then go back to the bar. Let it run my life. I want to have my own life. So we each have that combination of mystical and intellectual abilities to do that. And when we accept that, when we open our minds to that world that your question asked, you start to open up to what are my gifts, because you have them. I promise you, I guarantee it. Nobody teaches that in 3P, but I teach it because I was in the Indian world. And what I found in the Indian world was, oh, I like the mystical. I really like the mystical. It suits my temperament and the way I see life. I really like that. And then when I came back out of the Indian world into the 3P world, I just said, I can't talk to them about that. They're dry toast, they're limited in what they understand. So I'll just not talk to them about it and just do it. You see, people don't realize that I have all these gifts I picked up in that world. But they are no value unless you're balanced, unless you have an understanding of the spiritual psychological connection. Because as with that woman, spiritually a great healer, but psychologically a mess. I'm not interested in that one. I'm interested in, yeah, I like this woman because she has this ability to soar, but I want to help people to be grounded in walking as an ordinary human being. And
you like to listen to people where you feel that they are balanced.
Well, that's the gift. That's the gift of the Three Principles, is all the people who have walked into the world of the Three Principles or the world of Sydney Banks, all are better off.
Yeah.
Maybe not reaching the pinnacle of what we define as results, but all. Look at your own life, Cecilia. I mean, is it better with the Three Principles?
It's much better, but it moves all the time.
Well, I didn't say you controlled it. I just.
But I feel also that I thought I knew more for 1 year ago or 2 years ago, but now it's like it's so much in the unknown.
Just get comfortable with it. You already are getting more comfortable.
Yeah.
You could see talking with me, I challenge you in that direction. See people.
I feel it.
Yeah.
I really feel it.
In my second book on addiction, Evolution of Addiction Recovery Reopen, I'll read you what Christine Heath wrote about it. Harry truly has a desire to alleviate the suffering people have around addiction. He shares the promise of the understanding of the three principles with everyone, with a certainty that everyone can find serenity, happiness, and success in spite of their past and addiction. Harry's questions are designed to take the conversation to a deeper feeling, which frequently ignites an awakening of listeners to their own wisdom and spiritual essence. I'll read that again. Harry's questions are designed to take the listener, and
I believe
that's
you.
that's so.
Well, her, I believe her. She wrote
Yeah,
it.
yeah, she
Yeah.
wrote. Yeah, and
But it's true. I felt a difference.
yeah, tell us about that a little bit, just for the audience to hear.
Yeah, I feel a difference, and I also got COVID this week, and it felt I could handle it so differently, and could just I was supposed to have I invited my friends over, and I couldn't have them over, but it's just that it was fine for me to. I saw that I can do this later. Maybe I need to go through this now, and we can have this later, and I was fine with it, and I saw that I needed to rest.
And doesn't
And
it feel good to rest?
yeah, it did.
Yeah,
It
so
did,
you
and
could
I
see,
needed that.
spiritually that was very good for you.
It was very good for me.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
didn't know that I was so tired, and I was just, I could drop everything around me, and because I had COVID, so I couldn't meet anyone, and it was also releasing for me to I can just lay here in my sofa and doing nothing
Yeah, and rest.
and rest.
Yeah, there's a big message in that. A very
Yeah.
big message. And that's why the world's where it is. They're not resting enough. It sounds so silly, but they're always doing, they're not resting. See, in the rest, you allow the newness to come in. That's most people don't see the connection of that. They think the newness comes in through the activity. The activity is after the rest.
And now when I have started to rest more, because I see all this going very fast with Christmas and Christmas shopping and food and everything. I feel like I just want to have a silent Christmas without all this doing.
Yeah, you see, this is a very important point for you to see. You choose the Christmas and the life that you choose. You are the one. You have the opportunity to have exactly the type of Christmas that you want, except for the fact that you think.
Yeah.
And so once you start to realize that, you start to point in that direction of positively entering everything that your mind wants you to be, which includes the opportunity to get to know your own mind. You see, we have all been running away from our own mind. We actually, the person we spend the most time with is ourselves, and it's the one person we know the least. And once you take rest, you start to see that insight and purer thought explode into the horizon, and you see better. Not everything, just better. And the moment you see better, it tastes delicious. It tastes like the best chocolate in the world, except it doesn't make your stomach sick when you eat too much of it. You can't eat too much of wisdom, truth, love. You can't eat too much of that stuff. And so you choose. See, it's hard to stop doing what you've continually done all your life, the patterns you have developed. But some of those patterns are not healthy. And they've taken you into belief systems of who you are and what you think you are. Everybody has those. Harry has a ton of them. The only thing is when you take a rest, a lot of those patterns automatically drop away. Without the rest, they continue. With the rest, they drop away. So in my life, for 4 years, I basically stopped everything at 65. And at 69, when I stopped, I had no money, no anything. And then in 4 years where I decided I was just going to rest and I didn't care about anything to do and stuff, all my 80% of my problems disappeared. My bad habits disappeared forever. I became a better person. And I thought after 4 years, my life got so peaceful that I looked around and everyone looked like they were chickens with their heads chopped off. And I was just sitting there in a very simple little environment with no problems. And then at that point, after 4 years, I said to God, God, I'm not complaining. This is great. But I wouldn't mind a little more action to share some of what I've learned. And the next morning, it started right away. Bing. And all of a sudden, I was in the world. See, I needed the 4 years of rest to appreciate where the essence of all good ideas come from.
But when you're depressed, a lot of people are depressed and lying in the sofa every day and can't do anything, can't go to work, can't do it like me. But that wasn't the rest.
That's not it. No, that's work.
That's work. That's really work.
That's right.
It would be better for me to go to work.
That's right.
So we have to understand what we mean with rest.
That's right. Very good observation. That's correct.
I couldn't move. I was staying in the sofa all the time, and I was so tired. My whole body was like, and it hurt everywhere. And
so what feels better, that or this?
It's so different. Now when I was staying in the sofa and knew that I was sick and I didn't feel well, I got fever, but it was so different. It was like, oh, it's nice to lay here and I can listen to something, and I read Missing Link. I hadn't with Sydney Banks. I hadn't read that book.
Yeah. See, when you change thought, your whole world changes. A deeper dimension of thought, not mental thought. When you change thought, all of a sudden a different feeling comes in. And it's just a psychic trick, like you mentioned about someone being able to see something in the future. Changing thought is the same thing. You see that your thought is going in a wrong direction and it's controlling you, and you don't feel good, and then something intuitive pops in and you change thought and you're in a whole different world. So you can't, just like you can't describe to someone how someone sees into the future, you can't really describe how someone sees how to change thought. Yet the moment they change thought, it's obvious what happened. It's the way it works, people. You change thought, you change the way you feel. And what the good news is the depressed feeling, lethargic feeling, just like that, changes to, I feel good. Hey, baby, I feel good.
I don't know if I told you when I was at the hospital, I was very depressed, and we were sitting and looking at the movie, everyone, and it was a comedy, and I was laughing, and then I heard myself, oh, I'm laughing. I'm not supposed to do that. I'm in the hospital. I'm depressed.
That's right. That's right. That's right. But it's too late already.
Yeah. And
It's
everyone was laughing in the sofa.
Yeah. So there's the answer. Once you laugh, life isn't serious. And that's, I use a lot of bad jokes in my sessions with people because it's meant to get them to laugh. Because if they laugh, they can't get serious.
But I had a psychiatrist that laughed all the time when I was in a really bad mood. And for that point, I didn't like it.
Well, that's different. That's different.
I get very irritated on her and when she did that, because I felt, I'm serious now. I'm serious now. I'm talking about this, and you're laughing. No, that's not okay. And I get upset about it. So it's how you do it.
Well, of course, you see, something from wisdom has a good feeling attached to it. Something from insecurity, like she's doing, has a bad feeling associated with it. So, and also you bring a compassion. You know, I work in the Muslim world now, and that's a big word in the Muslim world, compassion. And if you can't bring compassion in with the other, when you're talking to the other person, you're not listening to the feeling. That's true. Just as you said before we started to record, you don't like to have bullshit, or you want to talk about the real issues in life. And Three Principles does have a tendency to sugarcoat a lot of stuff. But to discuss honestly what's on your mind, that's the trick. If you want to grow, you become compassionate to what's on the other person's mind. And then what comes doesn't come from your understanding. It comes from God's understanding, or mind's understanding, the universal intelligence. I don't know how it works. See, I don't have to know how it works. I just have to know that it works. There's a big difference. And so when you know how it works, you just ignite the process and know that it works. You trust it. It's like love. A man and a woman get together, and they shouldn't be together, but love's there. And of course, you have your thoughts in your head about that. And it seems to, but as soon as you meet the person, all those thoughts evaporate, because you see, actually, there was just my own thoughts about something that wasn't real, because the love is so powerful. And after a while, you start to trust that love more and more. And you say, oh no, I can't let my guard down. I've been here before. This is, but you start to trust the love. And once the love opens up your heart, you can't pretend it hasn't felt that. It feels the right way. It feels who you are as a human being. It feels that it's unlimited in what you can explore and walk into. Well, why would you, in any problem in life, not go towards that feeling? And if you show somebody that feeling that I just described, they start to doctor themselves because they like what they have seen of themselves. And they start to trust it, that it does work. And that's what happened to me. At 69, when I stepped into another world, I didn't trust it at first because it never worked before. But it kept working. So after a while you go, it seems to be, the tap seems to still be working. I thought, but I was shutting the tap off before with my thinking. But now I just left the tap run. And guess what happened? It just kept running. And I didn't think about it. I just enjoyed it. I said, oh, this is nice. This is better than before. So I just went with it. And then I noticed, oh, I changed, but other people didn't see it. So what? Who cares if they didn't see it? Is it like important that they see that I changed? All that matters is I see it. And I started to trust myself more and more. Oh, just me, just my feeling with God is all I need. God gives you check marks. Good boy, good boy. Here, doggy, go eat that bone now.
And I felt that feeling very much when I was little and went to my grandmother and grandfather. I went there in the weekends, and it was that very loving feeling all the time.
You still have it. That feeling never goes away.
No.
Just like when you have an insight, it never goes away. It's an asset to you. You can pretend it went away, but it never went away. It continues to grow and grow.
No, this time with when I had the shift from addiction to not need to take all those things, it was a really transformation. I have never questioned it again.
Yeah. That's the way it works.
Yeah.
That's called healing.
Yeah. So I know it works. I really know it works.
Oh, of course. And you notice you're getting stronger in the comfortable feel. You're getting more and more comfortable with it.
Yeah. And like you say, you get more and more. It's not that when I had the shift, it changed me completely, but it still felt the feelings felt in the body. I had to let it grow.
Yeah, we are all just growing in the feeling of being one with God. And that's one point, experiencing that we are God. And not getting caught up in the image of that, just being. So same thing for Sid. He knew that knowing, and then he sort of experienced I am, and then he just experienced being. Not being there, just being. Stepping into the oneness of no thought. But I can only suppose about that, because I am not enlightened. And I have to accept that. And it turns out it's the most delicious thought in the world, because it's true. I am not enlightened. On one level, everybody is enlightened. And on another level, on a conscious level, I am not enlightened. Well, that really makes it easy to be an ordinary person when you recognize that you're not the greatest thing in the world. And the most comfortable feeling I have, Cecilia, because you have to understand something. In the past, I had a big ego, big ego. And I was really interested in Harry, and Harry exclusively. So I'm always aware that's a weakness of mine. I have that weakness. But knowing that Sid knows so much more than I know and experience is so comforting. It keeps me grounded, because I know that there's somebody who knows more than Harry. Somebody who speaks, when he speaks, has more energy than Harry, is clearer than Harry. And yet is just an ordinary guy who happened to be lucky to experience an enlightened level of consciousness. Good luck. I look at myself the same way. Good luck. Because what I am experiencing at 76 is so much better than what I experienced at 56.
Do you know if Sydney Banks met any uplighted?
What's this?
Anyone else? Did he met anyone who was uplighted? Sydney Banks.
He did not.
No, he did not.
He met with people who said they were enlightened.
Yeah.
But he did not meet, as far as I know, he did not meet. He did say that he wished he could have. It would have been so much fun to share.
He did. Yeah.
Yeah. And what's really interesting, which is a real side note, is he lived on the same island as Eckhart Tolle.
Yeah. But they didn't met.
They never met. So it's a mystery. Don't try, my advice to anyone who listens to this, don't try to figure it out. It doesn't figure correctly. Nothing in the story is as you imagined it could be or would be. Who Sid is, what you're supposed to be like, all that stuff is nonsense. That's man-made religion around the truth. We don't have to understand how it works to trust it. Once you know you can trust it, you're off to the races. You see, nothing can stop you now, Cecilia. You'll have doubts, you'll have concerns, but the problem is they're not as powerful. You're not paying as much attention to them now. They just don't have the weight they had before that would send you to the hospital, etc. You're just not giving them, sometimes they'll bite you, but you'll go, that's just a mosquito bite. I'm not really, it's not like a crocodile bite, it's just a little bite. And sometimes they'll show up and you'll just say, not interested, go shop somewhere else. I'm not interested in you anymore. And so your life gets easier. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back to that, to that image that you didn't let me share about the psychological and spiritual. The psychological is our thinking about physical form and mental form. So anything that you're doing is psychological. And the trick with the psychological is you have to quiet your personal mind down so that you can hear God's mind, or you can hear this, you can step into not having a problem. And as you not have a problem, some people go into, I have no problem, so what else is there? Spiritual. And then they just step into the spiritual. They're well grounded in the psychological understanding that thinking is what takes you away from feeling good. So that's where you end up, the spiritual, psychological. For the spiritual side of life, or religious side of life, you step into the feeling. And you step into this feeling of oneness and this feeling of love. And you start to notice that only one thing takes you away from that. That's your thinking. And so you learn to quiet that down. And as you learn to quiet that down, psychologically, you become healthier. And you don't disturb the nice feelings, because in the nice feelings, everything is explained to you. And so you keep heading towards the nice feelings because you're a spiritual person. And you understand the connection to the psychological, being an ordinary thinking human being. You realize you can't stop thinking, but it's the wise use or the unwise use of thought. So the connection between the spiritual and the psychological is your understanding of thought. See how simple it is?
Yeah.
Piece of cake. Same thing. But if you don't see it, it isn't.
I see it more and more.
Yeah. And you'll see it your way. And I promise you, people will come to you that I couldn't help, but you can.
Yeah,
That's
we
the
never
way.
know.
Oh, no, you're helping. You're helping.
Yeah, but we never know who's
No, but just to see you smiling effortlessly now compared to last time we talked is such a different person. A nicer person. A more positive person. A more optimistic person. The other one was more pessimistic.
it was?
Yeah, it was a little bit more. This is more optimistic. And Sid wrote in his Missing Link, optimism is, I don't know, the eyes of the spirit or something. I don't know what he wrote, but something that is very good of the spirit type of thing. And it is being optimistic, but not being lying to yourself, not pretending, not putting a thought in there to filter it.
Harry, we have to have episode 3, 4, 5.
Well, wait, we'll call it now.
And then
This
I'm flying in the sky.
Okay. So this has been good because, when we got together, I just knew you wanted to learn something. And I'm an educator, so I'm a good sense of students who want to learn. I don't care what their story is, but if they have an open mind, I'm into it. And this I hope the people who listen to part 1 and part 2 see the evolution of Cecilia and how she's grown in her optimistic feeling towards herself, and that she is enjoying the good feelings more. And that's what I call doctoring, and that's what heals people in addiction. The same thing. Once they capture a good feeling, they have trouble going back to the ugly, not the ugly feeling, but the feeling that's not pure. It's more artificial, stimulated by a drug or something of that nature. So if you can see how Cecilia has grown, you can see how you grow. And that's the message I have for everyone. You have unlimited potential. You're not interested in taking care of your problems. You're interested in experiencing your unlimited potential. And that unlimited potential is so tasty because you have to bring yourself along. If you exclude yourself from this thing, like some psychics, they'll see something magical, but they won't see what the role that they're playing in it. And your role is to have a good life. And more importantly than to have a good life, to be a good human being. And that's my mark of how I'm doing from last year. Am I a better human being this year than I was last year? And if it's yes, it's been a great year. I know there's goals and objectives and achievements and compliments, but the best compliment you can say is I've become a better human being. Perfect? No, Cecilia, not perfect. But better? Yeah. And I'm proud of that. I'm a better human being. And it comes with rest, quieter mind, listening better.
Kindness.
But, kindness for sure, caring, being there when someone needs you, all of that stuff. You just naturally do it. It's organic. You don't do it because you should do it. That's religion. You're not here to do things because you should do it. You just do things because they come from inside out into the universe and
that's
share
how
love.
I see it with this recording, because we don't need to, but we want.
Yeah, that's it. So we will do a part 3, but after I come back from Mexico, we'll do a third, and send me the link to it. I might create a little series, little podcast out of this or something. So send me the link to it when you post it. And
okay, so we celebrate Christmas then with our families and children, everyone, and
absolutely,
and the new year, and after that.
Yeah, well, I'll be back on the 23rd of January from Mexico.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So
you have a nice travel then.
Yeah. I'm going to have a bad time in the sun, in a beautiful at a beautiful fishing village, and and so on. So this has been great, Cecilia, and
very great. Thank you so much, Harry. And
no, it's my pleasure to spend some time with you. It's a little bit almost like a date, where we get together and we talk. But the difference is wisdom is the topic.
Yeah,
that's the topic, and you can't actually investigate like that topic with ever reaching the end of the journey. That's the way love is too, Cecilia. You never reach the end of the journey as long as you love yourself.
Yeah, and you want to continue the feeling.
That's right.
You want to continue to be in the feeling.
How could you want anything else? No. If it's the best feeling in the world?
Yeah.
Why would you want anything? If it's the best feeling you've ever had, it's a no-brainer.
No, you want more.
You want more, but in an organic, natural way, not not that way. The way that you can bring yourself along with it, where it doesn't control you, but you love it.
Yeah.
So with that, we'll say good night, everybody.
Good night, everybody, and thank you for tonight. And we come back.
Okay, we'll come back in about a month and a half's time. Okay, so you have fun and keep in touch. Keep in touch.
We do.
Yeah.
Keep in touch. Okay. Thank you, Harry. Bye.
See you. Bye-bye.